I need us to know that the last minutes of this very episode, we are going to be able to ask the normal life questions, okay? The things definitely from what I will have spoken about, but I want you to feel free and be very versatile as we ask the questions, because you're not asking for yourself alone, you're asking for so many other people. Now, when we flip on the other side, then we will take the brand and the public speaking questions and the building a legacy, building a business and all that, okay? But for now, I want us to be able to go right into today's session, okay? So welcome, and right now we kickstart as we welcome our audiences from the various places, those that are online and TV, those that are here in the studio. And aren't we glad we got another studio? I hope we are this is at least bigger, more spacious, okay? And so we can have as many as possible. But I'm so glad that we get to make it to have these, I call them like chats, live chats, to be able to talk about life. We go through week and the week beats us down. The hustle beats us down, the grind. Have you ever, I don't know whether it has happened to you, but every day there is something you're thinking about. Like you want to push, there's something you think you should be doing. But guess what? Most of us think there is something we should be doing and we end up not doing it. We end up not doing it. But we feel like there is something that we should be doing. So as you get lost into the world, in your alone world, you tend to think that, you know what? I don't think this is really worth it. I don't think, you feel life is really dragging. It's not moving at a speed that you want it to work at. Now, when we come here is when we talk about things like the 3 phases and stages of crisis, and then you get to say, I am not the only one going through crisis. Thank God, I am not the only one. You know, we are so many of us that are in the phases. The first phase was, let's just do a recap. The first phase of the crisis. I want to see those that were in class. A shock and safety. Shock and safety. Number 2, the self-discovery and the coping. Okay. And then number 3, progressing. Oh, so I really had people in class. So you realize that when you come here, you get to know that, by the way, no one said they were in the progressing phase. Everyone said they were somewhere in the shock, between the shock and the safety and the coping, you know. And so you're like, okay, now I'm a human being. I'm not an alien, and I am not the only one with the problems. Everyone, we are all struggling with something. But guess what? I think God in his mighty power created us as infinite beings, that there is no sense of arrivalism, because as soon as you arrive, you die. There is no day, even if you ever make the biggest money in the world. Actually, the more you make money, the more you need money. You realize that what we call the rich, the wealthy, sometimes are the ones that are greedy. Why? Because they have tested. Have you ever tested ice cream and you feel you need more ice cream? You test chocolate and you feel you need more chocolate? Now, when you test money, you feel like you need more money. So that means there is nothing like someone has grown, has outgrown, and has reached a level where they can't grow anymore. Even the richest people in this world, they are still reading books, they are still attending seminars, they are still fellowshipping, they are still listening to people who are below them even at the wealth level. They are still expanding in their minds. That means that God knew that we can never arrive at anything. And today I want us to be able to talk about raising our ambition. I know that when you talk about ambition, so many of us, it catches us the wrong way, because there is such a thing, and there are statements that people have made like ambition, like, oh, someone is overly ambitious. Someone is overly ambitious. But the thing is, ambition on its own is not bad. When someone says overly ambitious, that means that this person has gone up beyond the levels, and maybe they have started doing things that are not right in the name of ambition. But again, does it mean that all ambition should be trashed? The reason as to why we are where we are is because we are ambitious. The reason as to why we seek knowledge is because we want to get to the next level. You have a desire. Actually, ambition is desire. And when you cease to have it, you get stunted, and that is how people start becoming arrogant. When you start to know that, I know it all, that means you have lost the ambition to know, to learn, to get better. Now you have placed a glass ceiling on yourself, and you have said that, you know what, not even a glass ceiling, because other people place glass ceilings, but when you place a ceiling on yourself, you place a metallic ceiling, because it's an arrogant one. No one can take it away apart from you. So you realize ambition is not bad. If anyone tells you don't be ambitious, they are using the word ambition wrongly. Okay? But if someone tells you don't do something wrong because of ambition, you get it? It's like having desperate faith. Having desperate faith that does not cause you to do the wrong desperate thing, because we know that when you're desperate, you can do wrong things as well. But having desperate faith makes it like it takes you an extra mile. That where people pray for just 2 minutes, because you are desperate about the answers you need from God, you are able to go an extra mile. You're able to show up. You're able to ask for more. You're able to work harder. You're able to anticipate for better. So I need us to raise our ambition, because if we do not raise our ambition, that means that we are going to be stunted, we are going to be stuck. But my problem is not you being stuck, but the generation after you being stuck, because then you will be limiting them. Okay? You will be limiting them. There is a switch in your life, and I know that ambition can be zapped, just like motivation can be zapped out of your life. Have you ever worked so hard until you go to a place and you're like, but in fact, why am I pushing? Have you ever cared for someone so much and there is no reciprocity or reciprocation, and you felt like, no, in fact, you get it? Like, we get demotivated as human beings. We lose the ambition as human beings because of the situations that are surrounding us, and because of the slowness of the progress that we are making. We're saying put your foot in, 1 foot in front of the other, but for you, you feel like putting 5 feet in front of yourself. But again, there are times, have some of you ever gone through bad situations and you felt like, where am I even eating? I don't know whether you've gone through such situations. I've ever gone through situations where I was like, you know what? Why am I even feeding this body? That means I'm continuing to be alive. I think I would be better if I was non-existent. Situation can cause you to lose the ambition, to even get better or get anywhere in life. It will kill your dreams. When you lose your ambition, it will kill your dreams. That means we have to be in a place where we do not let ourselves lose the ambition. That means we have to rejuvenate. We have to keep the switch on. That the light, ambition is like light. That when it is on, you can see, you can dream big, you can have you can have visions, you can go to places, spaces where you can be helped. So that means if that light is off and you're in darkness, you're settling. You know settling? Has power ever gone? And you don't have, let me just say, you don't have money for your car there and then, or you don't have money on your phone or something like that, and then you just feel like you adjust to the darkness. Have you ever adjusted to the darkness? Like your eyes even begin seeing. Let me tell you, and you become like, you know, a pussycat sees in the dark, eh? And you become like a pussycat. But then you remember where the table is, where the chairs are, and then you tell everyone, I think it's time to sleep, I think we eat so quickly, or let's eat from out or something. I know that it has ever happened to, because it has ever happened to me while I was growing. In our family where I grew up from, we were below the poverty line. Below. You know where the poverty line is? Now for us, we were just below the poverty line. That even the poor would call us poor. Yes. I mean, how do you explain staying in the same house with goats, in the same room with the hens, you know? How would you, then the poor will call you a poor. You can't even afford to build like a house for, you get it? But one thing that I want us to even begin with, your ambition should never be tied to your past. Your ambition should never be tied to your past. I've told you so many times about, you know, selling tomatoes and selling onions as a family to make sure that we survive. I've been vulnerable about my own life, that things were not good. That at some point, there was only a stool, Malaya Sika, in a kasonda, in a house, and I told you that at some point I admired cement. I was like, abaina cement banange. You know, ka cement, ate abantu balinanga akajanja munnaku ezo. Omanya akajanja kakola cement yo yalingo wa black oyo, dark grey. Eh? And then ngaboza bajula kukuutako oba nachi. It's like a mirror. And then tebakasimulira bwerere bakasimula ne bajja ne batuulaawo. We had neighbors. I remember one of them, if Jackie and Julie are listening clearly, mwachi tukola. We were in Tebe, we are being housed by an uncle who had a lot of commands and a lot of demands. But the thing is, you are beggars, so you don't have options and choices. But the immediate neighbor, I think the woman worked in Sheraton. Just imagine how many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, someone was working in Sheraton. And they would even talk about tips. They would even talk about, I imagine, I don't know what she was doing there, but by then she was like the CEO of the biggest companies in the world. Like seriously, because they could afford to eat peas and matoke every day. My friend, peas and matoke every day. And yet, what we afforded was a quarter of ground nuts. Not the ones that are grounded, but the ones that are peki. Then we have 6 children, and we have parents, and we have to share a quarter each batu and make sure that we take tea without sugar and go to bed. But you have a neighbor, as abobeze toko kuva ku saa 12 za kumacha. Mpaka chiro sawa nnya. Babo weza toke. Wanchi, ba tuisa bubi. And omanye toke lieba jamu ndagalanga ngali yika n'okuyika. Guys, ngali ya orange, ngali lebera n'okulebera liti. And let me tell you, we would even do vawondie. Have you guys ever done vawondie? Now we would do vawondie, but would our mother ever accept that we vawondie with a neighbor? Ngaluwa mukubye vawondie, ngajanga kuskat pulls you back into the house and tells you, you know, manye nakuyo. And indeed, let me tell you, my mother, that woman, played a very pivotal role in our lives, that we were content with nothing. And we were okay. Whether we slept hungry, whether we slept with water without even sugar, whether we were content. And for the longest time, I don't know how. Right now you have a kid and you give them half a soda and they throw it away. How many of us have seen those kids? The kids that we are raising these days. They ask you for ice cream, and then they think later that they want vanilla, and then you're giving them strawberry, and then they will show you that I don't want strawberry, take it back. Aye. What? Spoiled generation. Spoiled generation. But their confidence levels are too high. Sometimes I think they even slide into arrogance. It's not. But now I'm saying all that to show you that if I had tied my situation, my ambition, to my situation, this is what would have happened. At a very young age, I would have gotten married. Okay? And I usually make a joke that right now maybe I would have been on my 5th marriage. Yes. Because when you get married out of desperation, because you get married out of need, then you are committing to wrong people. And there's a time we were talking together with my husband, and I think it was last week, and we were talking about the consequences of committing to the wrong partner. How many of us know the consequences of committing to the wrong partner? Consequences of committing to the wrong partner. You will feel like you are a burden, and whatever you are in is a burden. It is dragging you behind. You cannot breathe. You feel like you are suffocated because you committed to the wrong person. Because the Bible says that you become one with this person. So you are equally yoked because you committed to them. Now, the moment you equally yoke your ambition to your past, that means you are limiting your ambition and you are settling for less than what you can actually do. I would have made so many wrong decisions. You know, decisions like I usually say that we partner with God. As we make decisions, we are partnering with God to get ahead in life, to make it, whatever decision that we are doing, because he gave us the right. He gave us the brains. So he does not force us. You coming here was a decision, right? You putting on whatever you're putting on was a decision. You choosing to build a brand, to build a business, to even get better, to grow, is a decision. And this is what you're saying, that God, you want me to be better, but you are not going to pull me from Chana Mukaka or from my Kazigo somewhere and just swing me and take me to a good place. Those miracles will never happen. What he does is he plants desire in your heart to want to be better. Now, when you have that desire brings you from whatever village that you come from, and then you seek to connect with people that will take you to your purpose. You seek to learn. You seek, and I have prayed for you, that God will make you unsettled. That at night you will turn in your beds while you're thinking, ideas are flowing, and you'll be like, yes. That is how you're supposed to be. The things of God are not easy. No. Have you ever built a house? Has anyone ever built a house? Okay? When you're building, what happens? You are totally unsettled that you want tomorrow to be better. You want them to get the material tomorrow. You want it to take the shape that you want it to take. You are busy breaking and rectifying, and you're busy telling the engineers, please bring the blueprints. We need to see. Do you think this corner was erect? As in, you are unsettled. Why? Because you have a project that you are building and you want it to come out well. Now, that unsettledness is because you want things to come out the way they are supposed to come out. And that is how your calling is supposed to make you feel. That is how your purpose is supposed to make you feel. Now, when you commit your ambition to your past, or when you commit, because your present right now is going to be your past tomorrow, right? So when you commit even your ambition to what happened yesterday or last week, you are limiting yourself. I didn't have a right, and I've said it so many times, I didn't have a right to dream bigger because I didn't have even the exposure. I didn't. So there was no exposure. The first time I ever saw a magazine that had anything to do with motivation, and still, that must have been 30 years ago, or I don't know, when I was in secondary, it was someone's cover, someone's book cover, a rich kid's book cover that had Creflo Dollar and Kenneth Copeland, and I was like, these things exist. For the first, because we didn't have TV. I told you I watched my first TV at campus. So I see, so there is no exposure. It's not like I have a rich uncle, I have someone to see, and so I'm like, I'm going to be ambitious so that I can be like that uncle. No. That means that innately God creates ambition in us, the desire to be better, the desire to grow, the desire to add value, or the desire to even be better than what we were yesterday. And let me tell you, this desire begins in as simple things. When you were younger, didn't you desire to dress well? Like you would desire to dress well. You would desire to have better shoes. You'd be excited about new things. If there was a journey you're going to an auntie, even if it was an arrogant auntie, for you, you didn't know that it was a bad auntie. You'd spend sleepless nights with your shoes in bed because tomorrow you had a journey that would take you to another place. That means we all have the desire for better. Now, when you grow, that means we start streamlining that ambition to be able to mean something. That your ambition has brought you here because you want to be a people helper. You want to be able to help others. You want to be able to hold their hands. And then your desire has brought you here because you want to heal. Some of us are here because we want to heal. Some of us are here because we want the exposure. What is possible for me? Okay? Some of us are here to just see, I mean, what are other people doing? I feel I need to be doing something, but what are other people doing? So what you need is the exposure. So number one, Never fix your ambition, just like we have stated. Never fix your ambition to your past, because if I asked any one of you what your past looks like, you would say, I would not be here. I would not be here. You would have made other decisions. It doesn't matter how old you are, you would have made other decisions. So never limit your vision, okay? Your mission is bigger than what you think. Your mission is bigger than what you think. So you need to deliberately raise that ambition. And how you raise that ambition is by being angry about where you are or where you were yesterday. How many of us are earning the kind of money that we want to earn? Wanji? Are we happy about it? Are we thinking about avenues of how to increase that money? That is ambition. Now, the moment you start just having the empty desire, because some of us have empty desires. Do you know an empty desire? It's like a wish. I told you of a certain cousin of mine at some point who used to look at a bulb and she would be like, you know what, I wish that bulb turned into a vindazi. I think it was because of hunger. You know, I wish I would get my dress. She would even get up with a lot of energy. I would get my dress and then I would put the windows in my dress and then I would sit in a corner and eat one by one. Now, some of us have such dreams that, you know what, I'm tired. I feel tired and the money that I am earning, it's not enough, clearly. I would want to do better things. I would want to do bigger things. Maybe I would want to be in a bigger house. I would want to dress better. I would want to buy a car. I would want to pay school fees for my children. We'd have so many things that we would want to do. If you got money, don't you have things to do with it? You get it? But again, sometimes we stop at thinking this money is not enough. It's just not enough. Now, what strategy does, and properly guided ambition, is to ask yourself, if I have 1 million right now, and that is what I get every month, if I have 500,000, if I have 300,000, what can I do that can bring in more money? Or how much money should I target? So if I target, and this year I told you, it's a year to dominate. And how you dominate is setting targets for yourself and saying, I have been earning 300,000, but I want to be able to earn 1 million shillings, or I want to be able to earn 1.5, or I want to be able to earn 5 million shillings. I mean, is there anyone limiting your dreams and how big you can dream them? You're the only one limiting yourself. Do you know why you're limiting yourself? Sorry? Because of where you are. So your ambition is only stopping at your work arena. You're like, this is what my boss can afford, so this is what I might take. But the thing is, does your boss control your late hours? Can't you have a side hustle in the late hours? Can't you commit 5 hours of your day? Can't you have an online business where you don't even need to sit in a shop somewhere? The people that have online businesses, do they have blue blood? The people that are marketing their brands and building formidable brands and earning while they're sleeping, getting clients all over the world, and it is possible, being a global influence and a global brand, you think that is not possible? So the moment you set your ambition higher than where you are right now, some of you are limited by your fiance's talk. Everything he speaks is here. Whether it's a girl or a man, everything they're speaking. Have you ever been with limiting people? Yes. That is all they think about. And let me tell you, there are people who are money pinchers and savers that they will learn to break down 100,000 and stretch it for a month and use it. You get it? As in, do you want to become an expert of using small money? Wanji? Wanji? Nga buli kaseera goli awo utetenkanya. Omanya okutetenkanya? You're like driving. Tegende nye no. Come away no. That's what you're doing, because you start the month ngoli akyoyagala. Bwotuuka makati awo negenda mu half. You start dividing your lunch money in half. Bwoba otuuka omwezi gye gusembera no dividing in a quarter. Oba si kyekyo noyingirako mu kusiiba. No, let me tell you. I am saying this from experience, because I have ever been there. I've ever done that. When you get to a place where 2 weeks to paying your rent, not you know, you don't eat this, you don't go here, you don't do this, you don't need that and not Wanji? Nogamba kati zino zimma zaako olaba TikTok naye nga bw'ogamba omutima gukukuba oyagala kukekereza. And then you start, and I'm not saying that living within your means is bad. It is not bad. But as we live within our means, can we raise our ambition and say, can I be better than this tomorrow? Can I earn better than this tomorrow? Can my children live in a better house? Can I be able to buy insurance for my children? Can I be able, yeah, baba mugula, sibantu. Wanji? Hey. Abana babera mayumba nga buli omu ayina ekisenge kye si bantu. And I'm saying this from experience because I have seen them happen. You get it? As in, you just don't say, you know what, get to collect deka because zezikekereza space. Njagala otuuke ekiseera ng'ogamba buli mwana na 6x6. Wanji? Does it hurt? Wanji? We are placing our limiting beliefs on our children. We are placing our limiting beliefs. Hey, who wouldn't want to sleep like this? Who wouldn't? Eh? But you tell them, you know, extend so that your brother, so that your sister, because we have grown up in that kind of life. Do you see how our ambition gets limited by what we have known? Nti kilo yo muchere inokulisa abantu 15. And then we proudly reproduce it in our adult life, in our own house, and we are busy telling our nannies and our cooks, and we are telling them, kakati, bantu bameka balidde ku muceere ogwo. And then, gwaweddewo. No, chimanyi nti we twakuliranga kilo erisa abantu 15. Kilo y'ennyama. Nedda, aren't you surprised that our mothers were magicians? That a kilo of meat would feed 20 people? But buy it now. Buy it now, and you have 5 people in the house. And you feel like, which part? You get it? Now, we graduate with the same things. Where we grew up from, they are internal. They are in us. And then they are becoming limiting beliefs and they are becoming self-sabotaging tendencies towards the ambition where you should have free ambition. And that is why we come to such spaces, so that you can breathe and say, you know what, I am not dreaming bad. Wanting to hit this kind of money in this in a month is not, I am not mad. You are not. Just that's why they say aim for the moon. Even if you get to the stars, at least it will be better than nothing. So now, do you see where our limiting beliefs come from? Do you see where we sabotage our ambition? Someone says a woman will never amount to anything. Or a woman can never own anything. And maybe you saw it and no one actually said it. And to this date, how many of us here as women actually have land? Or are thinking as a priority that you need to have assets? And was yours a single mother? Or double parents? Step parents. And chances are, most of the people who will tell you Nino Kubera na Kange, they come from step-parented homes, or they were brought up by their judges, or they grew up in a single-parented home. So now they know what it means to be in suspense. And now they are seeking for safety. That is why when you ever get attached to a wrong spouse who thinks about buying cars and luxuries and everything, and all you're thinking about is getting safety for yourself, you're always going to be at loggerheads because they are never going to understand you. And that is where there is this saying that says, Omukazi aberayo na akake. Luachi, because alemedde okutegeeragana. Someone has failed to understand that this young girl, that there is a child in us that is screaming for safety and security. And that is what you seek to have. How many of us up to now, we are hoarders? Do you know hoarding? You keep a lot of things that you don't even need. When you buy sugar, you want to buy a lot. When you buy tissue, you want to buy a lot. When you buy, and when you will be like, and then you have those blankets, and you're like, oh, you can never know. You can never know. Like, we keep things around ourselves. Why are we keeping those things? We are seeking to be safe, and we are seeking to be secure. Something happened to us when we were growing. Some of us that feel stripped naked when you don't have even a single shilling of money. And I know that you're here. You love keeping money and saving money just in case. You can never know. I should have a bounce back position. Why? Something happened to you when you were growing up and you want to be safe. And it's possible that it happened to you in your adult life and you're like, you know what? Once bitten, twice shy. So I better have bakaita kasua. But the thing is, while you keep the kasua, you're not investing. You're not investing. So you realize that there's a lot of trauma involved. There's a lot of fear involved. There's a lot of self-sabotage involved when it comes to ambition. Because ambition, I said, is the desire. And I said that there's that desire to go to the next level for all of us. Whatever the level is. There is that desire. Just for you to have a better skin, it is a desire. Just for you whether to put on weight or to lose weight, it is a desire because you feel you will be a higher version of yourself or a better version of yourself. So I need us, while we talk about this, so definitely you'll find time when you are alone to go through your own past, to go through what has happened, what have you been telling yourself, what are the things that you are narrating and rehearsing and the stories that you're telling yourself. Ndikale kaleko. Ndikale kaleko. Last time we talked about crisis, and I asked you, have you ever seen someone in crisis, and yet for them they don't see that they are in crisis? So you look at someone and what they are doing, how slow they are about life, and you're like, I wish you knew. You'd have, risen up. You'd have done something about your life, okay? Whatever we want to be tomorrow, where the ambition is taking us, the basis is now. What we do now. And for most of us that are in business, one thing that I have discovered, all business people know what to do. All business people know what to do. What they fail at is activity, execution. To do the things that they need to do. Someone will tell you, I know, I need to wake up early. Someone will tell you that I need to be able to finance this business better. I need to give this business time. I need to be able to train my workers, to orient them better. But they never get to doing it. They even make New Year's resolutions and never get to doing it. So ambition is something that is very, very, very amazing. But I need you to stop fixing on your circumstances, on your past, on the life that you grew up in. And number two, decide that it's time to go to another level. That is a decision that you make. What does next level mean? Because some of us, we mention these words and we think we understand them. What is next level? Sorry? What is the next level? Because we've seen next level being spoken about everywhere. But what is it? A better level. You see, explaining next level with a better level. And I, Dennis, but that's true. That's how most people actually would explain it. You see, a better position. Tu Charlie, Musi Porinji. Tu Chagenda.
Next level means more money. Next level means exposure to travel the world.
More money, exposure to travel the world. I love you already.
Taking my children to a better
school.
Next level means building a home.
Yes.
That I would want to have and
that you envision.
Next level means I can be a help to the people around
in your community. Wow. So, but do you see, don't we desire all those things?
Yes.
We all desire those things. But whenever, and let me tell you, this is how I think God gets mixed up. When you get to a point of prayer, this is what you're, next level. God, take me to the next level, take me to the next level. Take me to the next level. God! Let me tell you, I think sometimes God just wants to just bring Chiboko and beat us. How do you fast for a full week asking for the next level? Just the next level. Mention, because he says, when you ask, I will give. So mention, what do you want? And guess what? God cannot be mocked. God cannot be mocked that what you sow is what you reap. So he says that blind faith, or the action without, what faith without action is actually dead. God is the biggest counselor that there is. I don't know if some of you listen to the conversations you have with God, or because he speaks through you. Have you ever said that, you know what, I really need more money? And then you had a small voice inside of you telling you, what are you doing about it? And you just feel like, you know what, I should shake this voice so that it can go away. I just want to stay in my fantasy bubble of saying, I wish I could get more money. Have you ever seen people who want to get married and they're like, oh, I wish one day I will be walking and then I just stumble upon a Prince Charming and then he looks at me and winks at me and he just, and our love just sweeps us off our feet and then we love ourselves to eternity. Doesn't it feel good? It feels nice. It even brings butterflies in the stomach only to wake up. And you're what? You're triple single. The thing is, there's nothing you've done about it. As in, when you say, you know what, you know, God, I really want a man of my own. Number one, there are certain funny conversations God will have. He will either tell you, what are you doing with the ones that you have? As in, drop them. You cannot kukwatagana. The ones that you're holding, if you think they are not yours, drop them so that you can receive yours. You cannot receive while you're still holding. And then number two, he can tell you, bagenda kusanga wansi w'ekitanda. You need to go out. Meanwhile, they're giving you party invitations and you're saying, but me, I don't know. You know, I even feel lazy. You know, I just want to stay in and watch a movie. And you watch a movie and then while the kissing part comes, you start crying. Yes. People have cried while watching love stories. Yeah, it reminds you of all the trauma, of all the heartbreak, of all the disappointments. It magnifies it. And then you feel like you are the only single person in the world. And then you go to bed crying. And guess what? Still praying the wrong prayer. God, I need a man.
My location.
That God knows my location, let me tell you, that is not how it works. That is not how it works. He says he knows our prayers before we make them. But who has ever received a wife and in their sitting room while they are taking popcorn and raising their legs and watching a movie? They are never. You have to work for it because God knows that a relationship is sustained, so it must be started the right way. Okay? So even when it comes to your ambition, decide to go to another level. That means as you have the wishful thinking, can you please let your mind still ask you the questions that you need to ask? Whether it is God, whether it is a friend, and don't keep friends who are going to entertain your bubbles. You know friends who entertain your bubbles? They're like, and misery loves company. How many girls took themselves out on Valentine's Day? Now I'm talking about girls taking other girls. You took out a fellow girl and you did what? Exactly. I love her. I love her. Did you hear her? No, you didn't. Please speak up. Please speak up. I love the fact that this is a free zone. Checho. Ye yagamba omanyi. Yagamba gango jangu wano. Twambala obuntu bwaffe, tunyume, tugende, twerabise. Let's go. Now, that one was even a better approach. But there are others who were like, you know what, we are okay, we are single and content, and we will just take ourselves out and eat, and then we will go back to our homes and we are fine. Guess what? There's still something wrong. And the moment you face it directly and set your targets. I told you that one day I was Christmas time, actually on Christmas Day, I was in church. While the pastor was preaching, I was making my things that I needed from God, and I put a date to them. It was 25th, and it was at exactly midday, while the pastor was just getting to the pulpit. And I started, number 1, by next year, this time, I should be married. Number 2, by next year, this time, I should be pregnant. Number 3, by next, I wrote like, let me tell you, I wrote like 7 things, and guess what? By Christmas the following year, I had everything that I had on, everything I had on that list. But it didn't come out of a bubble. I had to make decisions, and tough decisions, not just easy decisions, tough decisions to turn my life around. And then to break certain limiting beliefs that I had created in my head and things that I saw as impossibilities. Some of us, we can be cushioned by small success and we are like, we are okay. And yet you are actually not okay. It's okay to desire for partnership. It's okay to desire for money. It's okay to desire for the better things, for the good things that you see in life. Instead of demonizing them and saying, people that have a lot of money, they are usually arrogant. It's the people that are arrogant. It's not the money that causes arrogance. There are some of us that have the money and we are okay. Wanji, aren't you okay? You don't have the money. I love the fact that you're saying, I love the fact that you're saying the truth. Okay? You don't have it. But what are you doing to get it? That is why you're here. To get the competence, to get the skill, and number 1, to just not be redundant while you are expecting for something to happen. For miracles to happen. God can perform miracles, but the miracles of having money rain like rain, it is not going to happen. He said that those that work will actually get the money. That, like you don't even deserve to eat. There is a time we were even talking about a broke that never date or marry. A broke and a lazy. When a person is broke, both broke and lazy, there is being broke for a time. You get it? And that is normal. That you can be out of a job and maybe you're looking for another job. That maybe you're at a job where you're earning small money. As in all those things happen. But when you have a broke man and they're also lazy, run for your dear life. And the reverse is true. When you have a woman that is broke and lazy, because even she will not manage her home. A lazy woman will be dirty. A lazy woman, they will look whichever way that they want. So now you are broke and you are lazy. So ambition. I don't want us to, I really felt it on my heart that sometimes we have lost our ambition and we have fixed our ambition on wrong things and we have not made the sober decision to say that I take matters into my own hands. And I think I am closing my ears to everything else and I am going for what I deserve. I deserve better. I deserve a good life, a better life. But again, because I deserve it, it is not going to come to me. Because I deserve it, I am going to work for it. Okay? I am not just going to yearn for it. I am going to work for it. So that is where you will ask me, but where do I start? There is always a next step. Right, the next step. If I ask you right now, what can you do to earn better money than you have right now? You will have answers. You will do. Because you will know, all I need is to maybe increase my clients. How do you increase your clients? Maybe I need to promote more. Maybe I need to position myself better in the market. Maybe I need to hire more marketeers. Maybe I need, we have those maybes. Now, instead, and some of us, this is what happens. We get a pen and a paper and we write so many things, a bigger picture of the vision. Have you ever done that? But you're still at the dreaming level. You have not even done anything. And guess what? You get overwhelmed and you get frustrated. You have a big vision. You have big things that you want to do. You even have their names. You even have brand colors in your mind. You even know what kind of money and the potential that thing that you're dreaming about has, but you have not lifted a finger to do anything. So this is what happens. It's like you are down at the staircase and you're looking up at the staircase and you're like, ha, I am going up there, and then you get tired before you even step on the first step. So this is what happens. For someone who is rebuilding their ambition, you decide and say, you know what is the next big step? I'm not going to look at the staircase up. No. Because I'm not going to jump and get there. I'm not going to skip all these levels. I must go level by level. I must go process by. So that means, what is the next best thing? Can I be able to choose one thing? Even for the goal setting, we say write like 10 or 20 things, empty your head and put them on a paper. But guess what? After you have put them on a paper, pick one thing that you can do. One thing. That if you think that if I did this one thing, I think it will change the direction of my life. Then put that thing on a fresh paper and then start strategizing. What can I do in order to achieve this? What do I need to do in order to achieve this? Let's say, for example, you've put, so many things, whether losing weight, whether earning money, whether you're starting a family, whether building, whether, whatever it is, there's so many. When you pick one thing and say, you know what, making money is pivotal to everything else. When I earn money, it's going to change so many things. So now you're prioritizing. You prioritize one and put it on a fresh paper and say, what must I do in order to get this kind of money? Number one, look for a job. Number two, build a business. Number three, I can do funding from my friends, from the well-wishers. If I tell them I have this kind of business, maybe they can do funding for me. Maybe I can borrow from a bank. Maybe now you're coming up with options. And don't limit your options. Put all your options down. And then after putting all your options, ask yourself, what is in my power to do amongst all these things? That my part can be looking for a job. Okay? My part can even be going to my going to my boss and being able to suggest that I bring additional value to the team in case they can be able to increase my money. Do you see that you have options? What we fail at is we put everything in our minds. We clog our minds. Our minds are like pipes. So now we are thinking day and night, we are turning in bed, we are not sleeping, we are Googling things. Have you ever Googled something or read something and you forgot where you read it from? And then you are thinking about making a call, and then you're thinking about going to social media. You saw something but you cannot see it right now. And then you were thinking about cooking, already things are burning. And like you have so many things at the same time. So choose one and be able to dwell on that and say, you know what, I am going, if it is to start with the job, I'm actually going out right now. I told you before I started even working, I had promised myself, you know what, I want to go into private practice. And then bad life hits, roughest patch of my life. I've told you that story, so I will not say it again. You don't know it. You don't know the carrot story. Oh my God, I've said it like 1,000 times, you know? So, bad time hits. Actually, I had enrolled back at Kyambogo. I'm a mature student. I have no single shilling on myself. I am the firstborn in my home. They have to feed. They're also calling me. That morning, my mother had called me and told me, we don't have anything to eat. I don't have anything to eat. I am at campus. I must foot back to Chireka because as at Kyambogo, I foot back to Chireka and I only have 200 shillings. I brunch to a nearby market. You know how you'll be like, now what do I need to do? This 200 cannot buy anything clearly. And then my wisdom tells me, branch to the market and buy carrots. At least there will be more carrots than anything else if you decide to buy. And so I go to this market. I find this old lady. I think she looked at me. I'm really struggling. By the time I come to buy only carrots, I think she looked at me, by the way. She had concern on her, in her eyes. And so she got a small bucket full of carrots and gave them to me. So I walk back, and as you're walking back, definitely you're thinking a lot. Have you ever thought about a lot and you don't know how you have passed? You have walked. You don't know where you have passed. You don't know what had happened. You don't know how you crossed the road because you are deep in thought. So I go back to my Kazigo. My Kazigo, I remember I was joking with, I think it was Tim yesterday, that my Kazigo, you know 3 by 6 beds? Now, I could only fit in a 3x6 bed, and then I would have like a turning space, like a half of a 3x6 bed, like a corridor. Now, that was, you know, those houses, and the outside bathroom that is like half cement. And so I go back, and I remember I'd put like a red carpet in there, plastic carpet. And these are the beds that have those bikondo, eh? You know them. So I got there, and I felt like my eyes were welling with tears while I was walking. And waliwe gumikiriza kono kwata amaziga. And you're like, toka abira mu bantu, wait until you get to your room. So you're holding them, you're pretending to sing, you're pretending to do what? You're not looking people in the eye. You're clearly looking past their heads, or you're looking down, because you don't want anyone to read the sorrow on your eyes. And so I get to my room, and I broke down. Immediately I entered the house, because I entered, I locked, and I failed to sit on the bed. I put the carrots down, I failed to eat them, and I sat down. And I started crying. When I started crying, I remember just inside of me getting tired and frustrated. I was like, God, I am tired of this place. I am tired of where I am. I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. I got so annoyed, and I said, God, if you ever take me out of this place, I will serve you, and I will help whoever I will help in this world. Like, I made personal covenant. I said, never, I will never be broke again. I am going out tomorrow, the first thing in the morning. I am going out to look for a job. Remember, I don't have transport. And I don't have family. The only family I have is where I'm the firstborn. I'm the only one who knows what is happening in Kampala. My family had already separated. My father is on his own. Actually, by that time, he was even in prison. So my mother is on her own, managing 5 other children. We don't know where the school fees is going to come from. And I'd promised myself, if I do not go further in education, my siblings will be limited. So I endeavored to at least take myself back. But here I am, stuck. So I made a covenant that, you know what? Never. This is never going to be my life. I think that is the day I got tired of that life. The next day, I walked to town. And when I walked to town, I remember that day, I was, that was Nando's by then. Back then, it was Nando's before it became Java's. And so I found, I had called Tim, and I told him, you know what, I'm coming to town. And I was like, it's okay, when you get to town, let me know where you will be. And I was like, you know what, this is the last minute I have on my phone, but call me after 40 minutes. I think I will be in town. Because I could not even tell, you know, have you ever been in a sorrowful state that you even fear telling people about your sorrow? Now that is where I was. And I remember that very day, I got my first job. That was paying me 200,000. 200,000. That day, that is when I got the radio time of 6 minutes in a day. That is when I was like, what can you do? You seem to be resourceful. What course are you doing? And I'm doing guidance and counseling. It's like, okay, if you can say something to people, you can have 2 minutes times 3 in a day. And let me tell you, I was very faithful with 6 minutes in a day. That was my first radio time. 6 minutes in a day. I would even foot for it. From Chireka. As in, after that, they gave me an hour at 11 o'clock in the night. A girl. And I would walk and come and make sure that I do the radio show. And while you're doing the radio show, people don't know what is happening. But this is how I tell you that had I tied my ambition to what I knew, because there were so many people that were pursuing me, wanting to marry me. And in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I get married now, I am dead. I get married now, I am lost. Like, clearly, I am nowhere in the world. That means everyone will be able to dictate over me and what kind of life I should have. And I wanted to decide what kind of life I have, what kind of car I drive, what kind of house I stay in, everything. I wanted to have a decision in everything I have in my life. And I said, no, I am not settling. So do you see that when you bottle up your ambition and settle, that now you become codependent. You depend on other people. Beba kulabira, beba kusalirawo, beba kusalirawo cholya, beba kusalirawo choyambala, nyumba chijoberamu, and then all you have to say, kale, it's okay, rabika bulungi. I decided in my life there is nothing like katutwaleyo. No. You get it? Because I got so frustrated that I made a decision, and that is what I said. And then number 3, you rise above. Rise above. Dare to rise above. Take your head above where you are right now. Let me tell you, there are people that are earning. There are people that are living a good life. There are siba logo, ate siba bi, siba kondo, webuze bachikola batya. Rise above. That is a decision that you need to make. Get connected to your ambition and say, you know what? I am with people that challenge me. Go to people who challenge you. Don't stay with people who are the same level. Go to people who challenge you, who think wider, who have more faith, who dream bigger, who reach for bigger things. Nganawe bwayogera ku kintu agamba now we are going to do this ogambo bagenda chikola atya. I think I've told you about my husband so many times that he will say certain things and I'm like, obesho tugenda chikola tutya. You see how I have big faith? He has bigger faith. And so I'm like, okay, katulabe, what my job is kuwagira tugenda kuchikola. You know, and I will be there every step of the way. And guess what? Bachikola ningiza tumalako, but in my heart I have the faith because I have been exposed to a bigger ambition. And when I got exposed to a bigger ambition, guess what? God opened more doors. And God showed me that he can be faithful and just. Okay? That he's not a son of man to lie. That when he says that knock and seek, you will find. You will indeed find. But if you don't seek, how are you going to find? Because half the time you don't even know what to seek. Okay? Now, in this talk, what I wanted was to rejuvenate your ambition. Okay? To not settle. To get dissatisfied and to get frustrated. Because frustration is not bad. Frustration is your friend. Frustration is how you tell that you have outgrown that level. You have outgrown that money. You have outgrown that relationship. You have outgrown that surrounding. That when you begin to feel frustration, I want you to look at it in the eye, to face it and understand it and understand what is this frustration telling me. What is this frustration? Chichi chenkoye. Wamalo kuchiteka kenga roboti. Ask yourself, how can I make it better or how can I get out of it? Ask yourself. Let me tell you, you have so many answers within you. You have never explored them. You have never explored them.